Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you're very welcome. My name is Couscous and this is the Get Ahead family. Here I share information on how to migrate abroad through jobs and through studies. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my interview experience as a contract manager. So I currently work as a contract manager and I also recently interviewed as a contract manager and I got the role, I got the job. So I'm going to use the two interviews. My first interview that got me my current role as a contract manager and my subsequent interview that I did and then I still got the job. So I'm going to be reading out the interview questions in the two interviews. So if you're interested in being a contracts manager in any field at all, contracts managers do the same thing in different fields you get. So for instance, you are a lawyer and you are abroad. Contract manager jobs are very good for lawyers. So in case you are job hunting and you don't know what jobs to apply for, consider applying for a contract manager role. Now, I'm a Nigerian qualified lawyer and I have a master's degree in the UK and I currently work as a contract manager in a UK university. So I work as a research contract manager in the department that is called Research and Innovations. Research and Innovation is a department that is responsible for research funding for professors and academics in the university. So for an academics to carry out a research in collaboration with any third party at all, whether it's another UK university or a UK government agency that is funding, for instance, UK Research and Innovations or NHS, they will usually need a research contract. That's where we come in. So we draft the contracts, we edit, we review, we negotiate, we do everything to ensure that from the beginning of the negotiations to the signing of the contract, it is us, it's on our head. Okay, so now that you basically know what research contract is, so I'm talking now about research contract in higher education, right? I recently coached one of my friends that was applying for a contract manager role. I coached her for the application, I coached her for the interview, and she was able to get the job. So she applied as a contract manager for an NHS trust. So for you to know that contract managers are literally everywhere. Every government organization, public institution has contract manager jobs. Now, because I work in research contracts, there's also contract managers for legal departments everywhere you go. Those are the people that are strictly responsible for managing the contract portfolio of the organization. Okay, if you get what I mean. I'm going to go and fetch the questions that I was asked at my contract manager job interviews, and which I think I've performed really well because I have been offered the job at the two interviews. Yeah, I've had 3 contract manager interviews and I have gotten the 3 jobs. That's what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. I did the first interview as a contract associate, I got the job. In 6 months, I did another interview as a contract manager, I got it. So that was within internal. And then now I decided to apply again to another organization as a contract manager, another UK university, because I currently work with a UK university. So I applied again for another UK university and I did the interview. I still got it. So I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing, if you get. And then I know that a lot of people have been asking me, oh, Couscous, do videos on interviews, do videos on interviews. I'm going to do videos on interviews a lot, because I really need you guys to get jobs, not just random jobs, permanent jobs, skilled worker visa jobs. So I'm going to be doing a lot of content on interviews. Now, if you remember my colleague that I said I coached her during her application and interview to get the contract manager job offer, she used my CV and cover letter videos. Those videos are on this channel. I'm gonna link them in the description box. So she watched the videos, CV video, cover letter video, implemented everything I said. And then one day she just called me, Kus, I'm getting interviews. I'm getting like 10 different interviews from different organizations that I applied for. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. She was like, I did everything you said on that video. I did everything that you recommended on that video. Now look how I'm getting interviews. And she's not the only one that has gotten interviews from doing everything or implementing the recommendations in that video. So if you're job hunting, you need to watch those 2 videos. They are very important. Okay, let me just go and fetch the questions. I just want you guys to see questions for contract manager roles in case you're preparing for interviews. Okay, the first 2 interviews I wasn't given the questions ahead. I was only, when I got to the interview, I was asked like normal interview process. However, in this recent interview that I did and I got the job, the questions were sent to me like a week. Was it a week or maybe 5 days to the interview time? The question and the task was sent to me 5 days to the interview time. So I had to like get ready for those questions, to prepare for the questions. And when I got to the interview, they only asked me those questions. They didn't ask me anything outside the questions except like follow-up, maybe clarifications and all of that. So it depends on the organization. Some organizations will give you the task ahead, others will not. Now, in the first set of interviews I did, so they told me that the 10 minutes to the interview time, they will send me a task, and then they'll give you a time for the task, maybe 45 minutes or 20 minutes or any amount of time they want you to use to complete the task. They will send the task to you, and then when they send the task to you, you will do the task and send it back to them, and then you will now go on to the live interview. So, but this other one, I was given everything ahead. They asked me to prepare a presentation that I'm going to make in 10 minutes. They sent me the task for the presentation, and then they sent me the interview questions. So when I got to the interview, I did the presentations first, and then after the presentation, they now started asking me the questions, and it was the same questions. And funny enough, I like to write. I always write stuff. At work, I'm taking notes. If I'm reviewing a particular contract, of course I'm taking notes. So I'm used to taking notes every time. I think it started from law school, because law school I used to write everything that proceeded out of the mouth of my lecturers. I used to write it. So I think that's where I started learning all this brutal note-taking strategy. I had answered all those interview questions on my laptop. I took notes. So after every question, I provided answers. After every question. So when I got to the interview, they were like, okay, it's time for us to ask you the questions. I told them, excuse me, I hope you do not mind. I have my notes in my laptop and I will be referring to them, and I hope you don't mind. They were like, oh, no problem, no problem. If you let them before me, I can cram. You will forget. So I like to put down bullet points below each question, so that it will guide my answer. That way, I know exactly what I want to say and the points I'm trying to make, because I am not a magician. See, let me tell you something. The interviews I have attended have been very intense. So those are not the kind of interviews that you just go without a concrete plan of execution of how you want to answer those questions. Because by the time you finish answering one, when they ask you the second one, you will just forget what you have to say, or you'll be repeating stuff. That's why I take notes. That's my style. I don't know about your style. It works for me. If you're a note taker, it will work for you. But usually, if it is a physical interview, like I did, the last one was a physical interview, I asked them, like, I hope it is okay for me to refer to my notes. So you don't think that I'm cheating, right? I'm not cheating. I wrote those notes. I hope it is okay for me to refer to them. They're like, okay, that's fine. When it was virtual, my last 2 interviews were virtual. What I did was I put up my notes on the one side of my laptop, and the video for the interview was on the other side of the laptop, and I could easily refer to them, and that's fine. I know I've been talking a lot, sorry, but I have to lay this foundation for you guys so that you will know. So because the first 2 interviews, I wasn't given the question, I was only taking down the question during the interview itself, and maybe I did not take all the questions, or I missed some of the questions. You know how interview is when they're asking you, you're trying to write and all of that. I'm going to start with the second one, since they had given me the interview questions. So I'm going to read those ones. So they had sent me 3 documents. One document was a research contract agreement. The second document was an email that was sent by an academics to me as a research contract manager, asking me what to do in a particular circumstance based on the contract that he sent to me. So now the task was for me to prepare a 10-minute presentation in response to the question that the academics has asked me in that email based on the contract that they attached. So I had to review the contract and write out my opinion in that presentation. I have shown that presentation in another video. I'm going to link it in the description box, so you can go and check that presentation out. The feedback from the interview was that they really loved my presentation, and that was why they decided to offer me the role. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to quickly read the interview questions. Now, the interview questions I'm going to read is not the presentation. The presentation is different. After the presentation, we now went into this interview. So the first question was, can you tell us what attracted you to this role? The second one was, can you explain why conducting research is essential for the higher education sector? Because I work in higher education and I work as a research contract manager, that's why this question is here. But if you're applying to a government organization, NHS, they are going to tailor this question for that organization. But if you're applying to be a contract manager in a research organization, maybe university or a research organization like Cancer Research, UK Research and Innovation, all those organizations that support research, come on, they're going to ask you a question, if not exactly something similar. Third question was, can you tell us about your experience with drafting, reviewing and negotiating contract? Tell me about it. The way I gave it to them in this question. In fact, let me tell you, when I answered the question 2, the one they said, can you explain why conducting research is essential? I was answering. They had to stop me. They were like, it's okay, thank you. Because I had bullet points, I was giving them. But if you don't have bullet points, you say the first one, say the second one, you either forget or you mix things up. You see what I'm talking about? At the time I was giving them. They just say, it's okay, you've answered the question. I said, thank you very much. Of course, the third one is, can you tell us about your experience with drafting, reviewing and negotiating contract? Of course, that's what I've been doing all my life. For the past 5 years since I have been a lawyer, I have been drafting, reviewing, negotiating contracts. So I have to give them my experience. Question 4 was, what do you consider to be potential clauses of contention when negotiating a contract on behalf of a university? Take away the on behalf of a university. Add on behalf of the company that you're interviewing at, the organization you're interviewing at. This question is a must. They're going to ask you. Contract is all about negotiations. What are the potential negotiation areas? What are the potential contentious areas? They always ask that question. Question 5, what do you consider to be the main differences between negotiating a contract with another academic institution and negotiating with an industry partner? Industry partners are commercial organizations. Academic or research institutions are either charities or other universities. NHS is not an industry partner. NHS is considered a research institution, a research organization. So yes, they're going to ask that question. Then the fourth, number 6, during a negotiation, in circumstances where the parties' expectations are not aligned, for example, around intellectual property arrangement, what approach would you take to try and overcome the obstacle? These are situational questions. They want to see how you're going to handle a task. Of course, I gave it to them, if you know what I mean. Question number 7. What do you feel would be the most challenging elements of the role and how would you address or manage them? Of course, every role has its challenges and you are most likely going to be asked this question because usually in an interview, they'll ask you technical questions, behavioral questions, and situational questions. So now, that question that they said, tell us about your experience of negotiating contract, that's a technical question. What do you think are the most contentious clauses? That's a technical question. What do you consider to be the main differences of negotiation? That's a technical question. Now, during a negotiation, in circumstances where the parties' expectations are not aligned, what are you going to do? That's a situational question. Now, at that point, they are testing your ability to apply the technical knowledge you have to the circumstances. Yes. So how are you going to handle it? You're going to answer that question based on industry practice, okay? So this is the best, these are the preference, this is the least preferred option, this is the option that you shouldn't even go for, and all of that. The next question, that's question number 7. What do you feel would be the most challenging elements of the role and how would you address it? I think I've read this one before. So this is also a situational question and not a technical question, like what's going to be the challenge. And most interviews I have attended, they've always asked this question. This is question number 8, right? This role involves liaising with academics with different levels of experience. Some may be early career academics working on their first research grant. Others may be established academics with a portfolio of grants. How would you encourage academic colleagues to engage productively in the contracting process and convince them of the importance of what they may perceive as merely an administrative necessity? This is specifically for research institutions, universities. So this question, if you are going for a contract manager interview in a university, they're going to ask you this question, my dear. They shall ask you, so get ready for it. Question number 9. Guys, have you seen how many this question is? That's after doing presentation for these people. All the things I did for them. I don't know why my interviews are always very intense. Why? Like, you know that there's oil on my head. I always come in. They don't know that the more you come up for me, the more me too I will come for you. Because I always match their energy. I'll give you guys one gist. When I went for the interview, they said presentation is 10 minutes. I was like, okay, let me use my phone as a timer so that I will not exceed my time. There, the interview coordinator said, oh no, I'm gonna time you. When it's 2 minutes to go, I'll let you know. I'm like, okay, perfect, that's fine. I started my presentation and I finished my presentation. I was like, thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you have any questions. And I hope that I did not exceed my 10 minutes. I'm so sorry if I did. And she was like, oh, I forgot. I was not even checking the time again. And that means she was literally so into the presentation. That's what it means. Because if somebody's not into the presentation, they'll just be looking at them and be telling you wrap up. Question number 9. Explain how you will manage your workload if you have multiple conflicting priorities and a high sense of urgency applied by various stakeholders. This is another situational question. And trust me, most interviews, they're going to ask you questions about, oh, how are you going to prioritize your time? How do you manage your time? How do you deliver under pressure? That's what this question is really about, and most interviews they ask you that. The last question they asked me was about diversity and inclusion. They were like, equity, diversity and inclusion is a core element in the university's strategy. We will create an environment that embeds EDI as everybody's responsibility, and it is a fundamental consideration in all areas of activity. What have you personally done to promote diversity in the workplace? This is more like a behavioral question, if you get what I mean. It's very close to situational, but it's also behavioral. I think for situational, the answer you give in a situational question would still be related to the knowledge of the industry, the policies in the organization, because whatever you're doing in a situation in the workplace, you still have to take company policy into account. What are the preferred options? What are the values and all of that? Now, behavioral questions is usually personal. What are you going to do? How do you behave in situations like this and that? For instance, if they ask you, how do you behave in situations of conflict? How do you deal with a difficult boss? Those are behavioral questions. They want to see exactly how you behave as an individual. If you see the way, do you know this question, when they asked me this diversity and inclusion question, when they said, what have you personally done to promote diversity and inclusion? I started off by telling them that, first of all, my skin color is already a diversity factor in the workplace, because where I currently work, I'm the only black person. So I used that one to start that answer, and they already started laughing. So I knew that I got them. I now said that because I'm also a lawyer, as a research contract manager, a lot of legal issues come up, and this is where I apply my legal knowledge to help whatever is happening, because whenever a legal question comes up, Couscous is always the first person they'll be looking at. Because Couscous is a lawyer, if you get what I mean. Let me highlight the questions that I asked them. So I had written down about 14 questions, because these are the questions I wanted to get clarification on. So thank you guys for watching. If you're to subscribe to the channel, please do well to subscribe. Let me know what other videos you would like to see on the channel. Check the description box. You're going to see related videos. Check the playlist. You're going to see videos that will help you. A lot of people come to me asking questions that I have already answered on my channel. So if you do well to take your time to go through the channel playlist, go through the channel, or see the videos that are already there, it will really go a long way to help you. I wish you guys the very best, and I hope that this video has been helpful. Let me know what you think in the comment section. There's a super thanks option. Please support your girl if you appreciate this video. And also there's a membership option on this channel. Join the membership. I will do live videos once every month just for members to answer all your questions. So let's get this membership started. Thanks guys. I will catch you guys in my next video. Stay tuned and do subscribe. Bye bye.